Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I want to talk about One Piece one more time before giving it a break for a little bit because I got other subjects I want to talk about. So why not bring back a subject I brought up before, being series that are longer than One Piece. So let's bring back a part 2 here and let's talk about 2 more series that are longer than the infamous Too Long to Watch One Piece. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as it helps the channel out, as well as share it around to your friends so you can give them some cool trivia about series that are actually longer than One Piece. Kochi Kame Tokyo Beat Cops is one of the most legendary mangas ever run in Shonen Jump. Written and illustrated by Osamu Akimoto, the series would first debut in late 1976 and would go all the way till late 2016, making it a 40-year run in publication. The series famously ended with 1,960 chapters and 201 volumes, making it one of the longest series of all time and holding the record for most volumes for a manga all the way till 2021. The series is a comedy manga that takes place during modern-day 1970s Japan, specifically in Tokyo, revolved around a middle-aged cop known as
Kanekichi Ryosu.
The series' humor is really revolved around Japanese culture, which is why it never broke out in the West, but it did break out in other countries, such as Hindi-speaking countries, as well as also Spanish-speaking countries. Many people in the West only know the main character thanks to him being in a lot of the crossover games, such as the J-Star series, where you get to see him and you're just like, who's this random cop character with a gun that starts shooting people? Which is pretty funny, because like, without hindsight or context, it's really funny to just see this random dude as a cop with a bunch of guys like Goku and Naruto just running around throwing fucking large power stuff at each other, and this guy just has a gun. If you don't know what J-Stars is, it's a crossover game that brings together all of Shonen Jump's biggest series, and that's how I found out about Ryotsu, was through J-Stars, because I didn't know who this character was. I just randomly clicked him while playing the game with my brother, and we just started playing with each other and realized this guy's kind of cool, but also kind of lame, because he just has a gun. Outside of the manga and the video games, the series just has 3 anime films, each one being relatively received well as a long-running anime that didn't stay as consistent as like a One Piece long-running series, as it took several breaks, thus not making the series have as many episodes despite the fact that the series went on for about 20 years. Series like Kochi Kame, I don't think will ever be made for the West specifically, because it's too enrooted within Japanese and Asian culture as a whole. So I don't think it's ever necessary for the series like this to ever make it big in the West. But I also think a lot of the problem is that most translations for these series take forever to come, as it mostly comes down to American fans of the series trying to fan make these translations that aren't very accurate thanks to the nuances of Japanese not being able to be translated very well into English. Outside of the police station that the series is inspired and takes place in, there's a statue of the main character Ryotsu standing there proudly, as is one of the most important aspects of the series is just how big of a cultural milestone it is for Japan, as many people outside of the fan base can enjoy this series and also even know about it. This really shows just how important it was to Shonen Jump, as why it always gets mentioned when people bring up their greatest series. Now let's move on to the next series we're going to talk about today, which is Baki the Grappler was written by Keisuke Itagaki in 1991. The series has been going on ever since and is one of the most popular martial arts series of all time, often being described as martial arts JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, having very similar gags as well as very outrageous outcomes to what's going on in the story. The series would even have multiple parts, as well as having multiple anime projects that didn't succeed until modern day, thanks to Netflix picking up the series and giving it a mainstream outlet to finally break out into the West. As before, it was mostly just a thing that fans talked about, just like JoJo, as JoJo was basically a niche thing, and now it's become one of the most popular series of all time outside of just Japan. The franchise is about the titular character Baki Hanma, or Baki for short, running around the world and traveling to see just how far it takes to become the greatest martial artist in the world. The series takes a lot of real-life elements and just exaggerates them a lot to make the series more interesting, having multiple characters be from different backgrounds as well as practicing different styles of martial arts. It's a really good series to get people into the type of story like this, as the series makes it really fun to try to understand martial arts in this type of way. Granted, most of the martial arts are pretty much, like I said before, super exaggerated, but they still have a lot of real-world outcomes to them. Baki was really helped out by Netflix picking up the series, as well as the rise of MMA fighting at the same time, as MMA has been something that's taken multiple decades to finally break out into mainstream, especially in 2018 when a lot of major fighters started coming out and having a lot of personality to showcase for their fights. The series is very divisive, and most people agree that the art is really great, but when it comes to characters, they're very lacking, as most of them are very one note and only serve one purpose to the story. The mileage on how you feel about the characters really depends on how much you like the characters, because some people will say it's more realistic that some characters don't return in your life and only serve one purpose, as well as others would disagree and say that these characters should be brought up more or used more if they're going to be made. But everyone can all agree that the fights in this series are fantastic and are really the highlight of the story. Another aspect that the series shares with JoJo is the homoerotic feel that both fan bases get from their series. A female psychologist once wrote a book about how she felt Baki could be a boys' love manga, especially since there's a lot of homoerotic aspects to the series, specifically Yujiro Hama, Baki's father, having the statement that he views any person weaker than him as a female, including men, and we've seen on screen that he's had sex with men, making it very interesting to think about just how homoerotic the series can actually be and how it's pretty kind of progressive in that sense. A YouTuber by the name Super Xavier has made a whole series about Yujiro Hama being a booty boy, and to explain what that is going to take too much time for us today, and it's not really relevant to what we're talking about. So I think the best thing is just go check out his channel. You can learn more about that, as it also adds to the homoerotic nature that many of the fans have with the series, both in Japan and as well as in the West. The time of this recording, Baki has a total of over 1,300 chapters and it's still going. And I think it's thanks to the great art as well as the compelling story that the series continues to thrive. And the Netflix series has helped a lot, despite the fact that many fans do agree that the Netflix series isn't the best way to watch the series or understand it, as the adaptation isn't all that great. But it does put eyes on the series, especially recently as the anime just crossed over with Kengan Ashura, another big series on Netflix, also about fighting. So the series is still going strong, and hopefully the next season adapts more of the manga, as it's going to take a long time for them to actually catch up to where the manga is now, as the series came out during an era where anime seasons are far more prevalent than ever before. When it comes to super long series, these two showcase why One Piece is the best at it, as it's not too niche to not go mainstream in the West, as well as came out around the time where long-running anime were very normal, and allowing the series to continue on to this day, keeping the series up to date with its chapters, while Baki is forever stuck in the seasonal era. Let me know which series in the comments that you guys seen out of these two and which one you guys would want me to do a full in-depth video about. Until then, this has been Mental Man, and I'll see you next time.